Welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles. In partnership with Movie Maker magazine, I'm here with Wilfredo Chavez to talk about his film Memoria y Perdida. Let's take a look at a clip.
My earliest memories as a kid from the border was always militarized. My dad crossed when he was 18. I was not really aware of what the experiences were like for people who crossed like my dad.
There's gonna be a little bit of rock climbing here.
The terrain really brings home how dangerous it can become for migrants.
Wilfredo, welcome.
Hi, hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm eager to talk to you about your really wonderful and inspiring film. So tell us, how did you discover the Border Angels, and when was the moment you wanted to make a film about them?
I discovered Border Angels pre-COVID when I went to a museum exhibition called Hostile Terrain 94. And this exhibition was really life-changing because what it did was it documented migrant crossings throughout the southern border of Arizona. And what was really fascinating was that there was a lot of statistics that someone like me, who is an immigrant himself, did not know about what was going on throughout the border. So I would spend a lot of time in the California border around the Imperial County area, which borders Mexicali. And during my time there, the people that I would interact with would tell me about a lot of the migrant crossings that would happen around the California deserts and mountain ranges. And very soon after, I just simply asked, is there anything being done about this? And one person told me about Border Angels, and I go, who are Border Angels? And I come to find out that Border Angels is an organization that's been going on for well over 30 years. And what they are they're humanitarians that take volunteers out to these areas around the mountain ranges, around the deserts, and some of the most treacherous terrains that you can imagine. And they simply leave water, food, and clothing. Because the one statistic that everyone finds out is that the death toll of migrant crossings around these regions is really due to dehydration. And so one bottle of water can save a life. And that's been their philosophy for 30 years. And I got to meet two of our main subjects in the film, Oswaldo and Nayeli, who have been going out there for years. And I first went out there as just a volunteer. I didn't really have an intention to make a film about them. I just wanted to just go to help. And my first hike, which I'll never forget, which was over a year ago now, I went out to the desert. It was 120 degrees.
Wow.
I had a backpack full of waters, not only for the migrants, but for myself. And more than halfway through, I was just ready to collapse. It was really hard physically, but also mentally. And I remember going home that day and not really thinking so much about myself, but thinking, now I know what it feels like for them. And then I started thinking, as a migrant myself, my family and I came to this country through these same areas. And so I talked to my parents, and I really had like a very strong heart-to-heart conversation with them about our experience crossing the border. And then I realized that what happens around these regions is not just those families, it's my own family as well. And then I knew that there was going to be there's a story here to tell. And it took me a long time to work with Border Angels, because at first I didn't want to make a film out of it, but I explained to them kind of the way I wanted to present it, which was more through not a political perspective. I wanted to make it educational. I want people to know what happens around the borders.
Absolutely. And taking that perspective, how did you go about meeting with the lead character, your subjects? How did you approach them, and what was the time like? What was it like to spend time with them, prepping for the film?
It took some time. It took well over 9 months for them to agree. And it was nothing about me. We're still great friends to this day, and it was just about the heightened. It's about how heightened the news is right now about border issues and about migrants, that they felt that putting their face and their names out there could maybe lead to something happening to their organization. So there was a lot of conversations, a lot of ethics that we had to really kind of go step by step to really see how we can tell this story. And we realized we didn't want to get too personal. So this is not kind of more of a film that really deals with the individual story.
Right.
It kind of deals with the individual's perspective about their hikes across these regions. And then what I wanted to do is I wanted to show what was happening out there. So I went out there and I took a crew with me, and it took a lot of preparation. And Border Angels was incredibly helpful in allowing us to be there. But there was a lot of safety rules that we had to abide by, because we're climbing up these mountains, 7 miles, 8 miles sometimes,
wow.
and it takes a big toll on us. So I had to prepare my crew for 3 months, and we went on hikes, and I trained them because I've already had my experience doing it, and I had to train them what it's like to film out here, and to be ready. And it's not only safety for my crew, but safety for them. We didn't want to be in their way. And so as a director, it became a whole different responsibility. It wasn't so much about getting the right angle. It's just about getting what we needed to get in order to show people what's happening out there.
Gotcha. So talk about that specifically, the time frame of being in physical production with your crew out there in this region. Talk about what that was like for them and that process during this period once you had trained them.
Yeah, it felt like going back to school, because what I would do is I would go on these hikes and I would just be constantly taking pictures of the area, the ground, the mountain ranges, and understanding what safety regulations we have to abide by. So we would have weekly meetings just about the terrain itself. This is not a film that we're making in a bedroom or in a house. We're making it in a real world situation. And so during this time, there was the new Trump administration, and they took like really a more extreme route around the borderland area, sending a lot of military out there. And so we were kind of thinking that the film was not going to be made because of the presence that was happening out there, that a lot more border patrol activity, a lot more militia groups activity. And so there was a lot of hatred and a lot of rhetoric happening that I started to feel fear, not only for Border Angels, but for my own crew and my safety as well. And just 2 weeks before our filming in the mountains, the mountain had a forest fire. And so there was a fire that we just really thought like this was not going to happen. But just it ended up working out, and yeah, it was a lot of training. I had to buy my crew boots and hiking gear and everything. We just kind of really I had to really realize that we just had to take a step away from it being a film first. Let's just concentrate on how we're going to get up there and how we're going to navigate these terrains.
Right, gotcha. So once you're up there now, and even maybe before you were there, the story that you told, at what point did that take to start? At what point did the story start to take shape in terms of what you envisioned capturing and what you were actually able to capture?
Yeah, the story really took shape with Nayeli, who's our second participant in the film, and her story is kind of the second half of the film. Nayeli shared with me a story that was at first a very personal story that she didn't want really talked about her time as working with a search and rescue group. And what happened was that they found a migrant who passed away, and he was a young man. He was only 21 years old. And and I told Nayeli, I was like, we don't have to share that with the film. It's not, if you're not comfortable with it, I understand, and this is not something that we need to go, and we can talk about other things. But we had, then like a few weeks later, she called me out of the blue and said, I think this story is important to tell. I really thought about it, and I think that getting this message out about what happens, out there, and the death of this young boy who's only 21, it's important to share, to get his name out there, and to know that these are human beings with a story, right? Like it's all statistics right now, and it's like where do we actually get to know these people?
Right, absolutely.
And so she, once she, decided that she wanted to share that, we knew that the heart of the story was there. It was this connection from the volunteers and these humanitarians, and the connection to the migrants. And and then she just always reminded me, this is why I keep doing it, because I want to try to save lives. And so when they leave water and food out there, it's been proven that it saves lives. They have saved people's lives before, because there has been numerous calls of border angels saying, my uncle crossed and saw your water bottles out there, because it gets labeled and and everything, and they drank the water when they were like really tired and feeling desperate.
Right, right. So tell us, how did this film influence you as a person and as a filmmaker from start to finish? Once you completed it, how do you feel you transformed?
I felt this connection with the community more. A community like Border Angels, a community with that region, the community of the regions I was going to a lot around the Imperial Valley with the people I met, who have really informed me and educated me, and I feel like this is a great opportunity to return the favor to the communities of people that are watching it. There could be someone that's coming to watch it from halfway across the country that doesn't really know what's happening across the borderlands. That was me, and I lived in Northern California. And so I feel that if one person can just get some sort of education out of it, that to me means a lot, because I was that one person. I was that one person that didn't know what was happening. And I felt the only way to really do it was to be there, to go there. And I could have told the story in many different forms. And I realized that to take a crew there, and film what was happening, to see what these terrains look like, to see it all, and was kind of the right approach. And my crew really they told me that it was an experience I'll never forget. It was just to be there, and it must have been a challenge, because they're trying to make a film, but they're also experiencing so much emotions about what they're seeing out there. And what we see out there is a lot of discarded clothes, a lot of shoes. Sometimes we found baby shoes there one time, and so you start painting a picture about what's going on out there, and that's where my crew and I, really felt that what Border Angels are doing is incredibly important.
Yeah, it is. It really, really is. Well, thank you for coming to talk to us about your really beautiful and moving film, very important film, very informative film. And so where can we follow you and find out more about this film and other works you have as a filmmaker?
Social media, you could follow me at on Instagram at will.chavez1. And I'll be more than happy to always share our link. We have the link right now on Vimeo, and hopefully down the road, if it gets shown at any other festivals, I'd be more than happy to engage in conversations with anyone who wants to know more about the subject, and even people that might not really have the same beliefs. I want those conversations. I feel like having a healthy conversation with someone who kind of has the opposite side of the spectrum of their philosophies and their thoughts about what's happening throughout the migration crisis is always a great way to find some sort of common ground. So I hope to share it in different states around the country.
Great, great. I agree. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us.
Thank you so much.